their glory will be there. Jubilee, 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 Jubilee. You're invited to this happy Jubilee. Jubilee, 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 Jubilee. You're invited to this happy Jubilee.
This is Jonathan Wilburn of Gold City. Now here's Randall Ham and the Sunday Morning Gospel Show. Here's Randall.
Thank you, Brother Jonathan, for that nice introduction there. This is the Sunday Morning Gospel Show here on WFLQ in French Lick. And the gospel community took a blow this week. If you have not heard, the great piano player Anthony Berger, pianist for the Gaither Vocal Band and for the Homecoming Friends, died this week at age 44 on Wednesday while on a Gaither cruise in the Bahamas. Pianist Anthony Berger died Wednesday after suffering an apparent heart attack. He was 44. Anthony was in the Caribbean aboard a Bill Gaither Homecoming cruise, and it was during a Wednesday performance when he suffered the heart attack. According to a family spokesman, Berger was doing what he loved best, playing the piano, just before collapsing. Anthony survived by his wife Luann, two sons, AJ and Austin, daughter Lori, his mother and father Richard and Jean Berger, two brothers Randy and Clinton Berger, and countless friends and loved ones in the gospel community. Funeral arrangements have now been made for Anthony Berger, and they are as follows. There will be viewings on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. and Wednesday 10 to noon at the Christ Church in Nashville, Tennessee. And those services to be held this Wednesday at 1 p.m. at Christ Church for Anthony Berger. Received an email yesterday from my good friend Tim Tolbert on the death of Anthony Berger. And this email comes from Tori Taff, the wife of Russ Taff, who was on the cruise ship with the Gaithers when Anthony passed on. And she writes firsthand of the account of what went on at the time of Anthony's death. And I must warn you here, if you got a box of hankies nearby, you may need to grab one. This is from Tori Taff. Last night during the evening concert, Wednesday's concert, about 2 songs after Anthony's solo, which he played, We Shall Behold Him, a woman on the front row began gesturing to the artist on stage and pointing at Anthony. He appeared to have frozen in position, his hands curled into fist and poised above the keyboard, sitting stock still. Immediately, the guys closest to him on stage, Ernie Haas and Roy from the Signature Sound Quartet, Reggie Smith, and John Bowman sprang into action and literally picked up Anthony in the seated position and whisked him off stage before he fell from the piano bench. Those who were with him at that point feel he was already gone by the time they laid him down backstage. According to Tori's husband, Russ, he looked Anthony full in the face as he passed by, and that he now knows what a body looked like after the soul had left. Anthony wasn't in there anymore. The ship's emergency medical crew and the Inspiration Cruise people were right there, and they worked feverishly for the next 45 minutes with CPR and shock paddles, but there was never any response. His wife, Luann, got to him very quickly, but he never spoke. Many artists had stayed on the stage, praying with the crowd and leading choruses while all of this was going on. It was horrific. No one knew what they should be doing. But the artists were so unbelievably calm and comforting that they kept everyone from just freaking out. At some point, it became apparent what they were dealing with, and someone, it may have been Russ, addressed the audience and told them that Anthony had passed away. One of the emergency people said later that the sense of hearing is the last to go. So we have all taken great comfort in the fact that the last sound in Anthony's ears as he rushed into the arms of Jesus were the voices of his friends singing him home. And this was the last piano solo that Anthony had just finished before going into another song when Anthony suffered his heart attack. We shall behold him, and he beheld him this Wednesday. Anthony Berger this morning. We Shall Behold Him, the last piano solo played by Anthony Berger before passing on the cruise ship with the Gaithers this past Wednesday at the age of 44. On the line with me on the telephone is Wayne Maynard, formerly many years ago with the Kingsmen and performed with Anthony Berger when Anthony was with the Kingsmen. Good morning, Wayne. How are you?
Good morning, Brother Randall.
It's a sad morning here in the gospel community.
Yeah, I had a tough week this week. I don't know. It's always hard to find that one of your family's gone, and that's what Anthony was to a lot of us that play gospel music, and a lot of us that still trying to sing. And of course, he and I go back many years. We had an apartment together before he married his wife, and I married Cinda, and we did everything together. It's kind of like close buddies. It's kind of difficult, but the best thing I can say about Anthony is that guy did his job. He did it well, and he did it for the right reason.
There's no better compliment or praise than that. Anthony loved what he was doing. And of course, Anthony joining the Kingsmen in 1979 and you joining in early 80, mid 80. You were the two new kids on the block with the Kingsmen at that time.
Yeah, we were the new kids, and Anthony really he and I did a lot of things together in arrangements as far as the piano and the bass. And when I went there, I played bass for a little while. Of course, everybody had to drive the bus except Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
But he did a lot of arrangements with the piano, and he and I worked a lot together with the bass and piano for our arrangements. Of course, Beaver played the steel at that time, and we had a pretty good band. And the reason it was Anthony that kept us all together, because he was the foundation for the whole band.
Now, he was the beginning of that, what we call the tremendous run of the Kingsmen winning the Band of the Year for so many years.
Yes. He and I were fortunate. I'll say this, I was very, very fortunate to be in that time era. I wasn't that great a singer or anything, but I was just fortunate to be at the right place at the right time, and Eldridge had heard me sing. And Anthony really helped me a lot. He took the time to sit down and play the parts on the piano so I could learn them. When you went with the Kingsmen, you had to know the stuff when you walked on the stage, or you were in trouble.
You better believe it. Anthony did a lot of great things with the Kingsmen, and you and he, in the beginning of the band, there basically shaped the sound for what people call that classic Kingsman sound. The Kingsmen have been around for in the 70s, but the classic Kingsman sound, they say, called per se, didn't really begin until Anthony took over, and then you with the band there shaped the sound for Kingsmen to come.
Between Anthony and Hamill, I would say they were the two keys. Of course, Eldridge, not many people know the ear that Eldridge Fox had. I don't know how to explain the chemistry, I guess is the best word to put. When you had those three working on material, of course, Hamill picked a lot of the material, but Fox did a lot of it too. Anthony picked some of the songs that we did, and they sat down and they would go through these songs, and then they would call the vocals in, and we would sit down and say, "This is what we got, guys. Let's see if we can fit everybody." Then they started, each individual guy would take a stab at singing the song, if you will, and if it fit the person, then that's just the way we did it. Then Anthony would say, well, Wayne, we've got the rhythm track the way we want it now. You and I will learn the bass and the piano and steel and everything together. So that's how we did that. So, there was a lot of work that went on behind the scenes. Piano players are a different breed. Those guys, they can sit down and hear that stuff. And if you've got a really good piano player like Anthony, I mean, there's just, second to none. I've heard a lot of them in my time, but I never, ever heard one that could do the things with a piano like Anthony could do.
That is very true. Anthony was probably what we call today one of the premier piano players in gospel or any music community. Anthony could do just about anything, and with his death, there's definitely a void in gospel music and in the music world today.
You better believe it. I spent all week crying. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I've cried a lot too, Wayne, this week with Anthony. I know you were very close to him because you and he roomed together, and for about 10 years were with the Kingsmen and very, very close. In fact, you had just spoken to Anthony earlier this week or past couple of weeks.
I spoke to Anthony probably 6 months at the most ago. And then, of course, I called him on the phone and we talked a little bit and asked him how he was doing. Mm-hmm. Somebody had mentioned that they thought he had a heart murmur, but I did not remember that.
Right.
Of course, he and I were kids when we were together 20 years ago, mm-hmm. or 22 years ago, actually. And I did not remember that, but he very well could have had a problem, and I didn't know it. But I tell you what, the guy was working. Right. He would go and go and go, and the rest of us just wore out.
Right. The world goes on, and we know Anthony is in a better place up there playing that grand piano up there. And it's just comforting to know we know where Anthony is, and one day we're going to see him again and hear him play that beautiful piano that he played so well.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that. On another note, if you would have your listeners to pray for a good friend of ours, an Open Heart. We got a pastor friend that died the next day of malaria in Indianapolis, and we're going up today for his viewing. So it's just been kind of a rough week, not only Anthony, but our pastor friend, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ones that's passed on this week.
Yeah.
We need to pray for all these people.
We sure do, Wayne. And Wayne, we thank you for taking some time out of your schedule this morning as you traveled to Indianapolis to talk with the listeners and to talk with us here on the Sunday Morning Gospel Show. We just continue to pray for your ministry, and we continue to keep praying for Anthony's family in their time of loss.
We'll do it, buddy, and you have a good day, and we'll be listening.
All righty. Thank you, Wayne.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Wayne Maynard there on the phone with us, taking some time out of his busy schedule to talk with us a little bit about Anthony Berger. Of course, Anthony and Wayne, very good friends for many years during their time with the Kingsmen, and of course, after that, continuing their friendship as well. 27 minutes here on the Sunday Morning Gospel Show with Randall Ham, continuing our remembrance of Anthony Berger this morning, and we'll do so after we hear a few words to kind of pay some bills around here.
Bedford Furniture Galleries offers exceptional quality and fine furniture while providing the largest selection of styles and fabrics to accommodate every room in your home. During Bedford Furniture Galleries